Everybody, Joe and Zack, Pittsburgh Realtors, here to tell you a little bit about closing costs. It's something that probably most people have heard that term, but may not know what that entails, what the amounts are, that kind of thing. So in an effort to make people more informed about what they're getting into, because really, the price of everything is always going to be a big consideration. So closing costs typically are kind of split, not 50-50, but split between buyer and seller. Some of the things typically go to the buyer's side, other things typically go to the seller side, and then there's a few that are split equally. So starting off with the buyer, if you have a mortgage, you're going to have costs associated with that loan. There may be, you may have points on your mortgage, you may have an appraisal fee, different things like that. And you should be aware of those when you get a pre-approval from a lender. They usually spell those out pretty clearly. You also have title work, and title work is you're going to do a title search and get title insurance on the house to make sure that nobody owns it, that you weren't aware of, that all the title is free and clear of any encumbrances, so that somebody can't come back later and say, for example, hey, I put a new roof on this house 5 years ago, the guy never paid me. Since you own it now, you owe that money. So that's what they mean when they say clear title. From the seller side, seller pays the commission. The commission goes to pay both the buyer's agent and the seller agent. So buyer gets a little break on that one, seller takes a little hit on that one. Also, there's a transfer tax. Transfer tax is something charged by the municipality this property is in and by the state. It's often 2%. Some municipalities are significantly higher, but most of them are 1-2%, or 2 to 3%, I would say, is probably about average. 1% for the state, and then usually 1 or a little more for the borough or municipality. And that is split equally amongst both parties. Hopefully that explains a little bit about closing costs. Obviously, there's a lot more detail that goes into that. As I said earlier, with your pre-approval, you will get a cost sheet. And as a seller, when you list your house, one of the requirements is, as part of the paperwork, the agent has to give you what's called a net sheet or a cost sheet as well. And it will say, if your house sells at this price, here, these are going to be your closing costs associated with it, and this is what you will net. So you sell your house for $200, you have 10,000 closing costs, you'll net 190. So it spells it all out very clearly so you can understand what you're walking away with. They tend to be overestimated a little bit, so people are much happier when they get back a little more in net on both sides of the transaction. The buyer, sometimes their closing costs are a little overestimated too, so that maybe they only have to bring $1,000 less than what they thought they would. People are much happier that way than if they had to bring $1,000 more.
Yeah, a lot of these fees are also non-negotiable. Believe us, we would get rid of them if we could. It doesn't matter what the company you go through, the agent that you have. These fees are often set in stone across the board. So it's really just about explaining them, lining them out for you. Not much we can do about them. But like Joe said, as a buyer, you're kind of getting not a free agent, but the seller's taking care of the commission. Our duties are still to the buyer if we're the buyer's agent, but we are technically paid by the seller, just to clear that up a little bit. But hopefully that helps.
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it, more detail. As always, reach out to us in person, text, email, phone calls, and we're happy to explain it more or even show you a sample copy of what a cost sheet looks like. Thanks for listening.